All right, everyone, we will begin our presentation. Once again, hello and welcome to tonight's presentation, How I Will Thrive, Latinx Student Success at UC Merced. My name is Alina Nugent, and I am one of the Regional Southern California recruiters for the University of California, Merced, and I will be serving as your moderator today. I would like to go over a few tips before we get started. To change your audio settings and change your volume, you can go to the bottom of your screen and use the audio settings in the lower left corner. Click the button and a dialog box will appear on your screen, and please make adjustments as needed. Next, to adjust the size of your window, click on View Options, which will also be located on your screen. Finally, we are so excited to have a wonderful team behind the scenes ready to answer your questions today. So please utilize the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Type your question in the box and click Send. And I would like to pass it on to my colleague, Elizabeth Lopez, for more information about tonight's event.
Hola, buenas tardes. Me llamo Elizabeth Lopez. Good evening, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Lopez. I represent UC Merced throughout the Central Valley, starting from Fresno all the way down to Bakersfield. We are so thankful to have you here today. And so les quiero decir que también si tienen preguntas, si sus hijos están con ustedes, díganle que pongan las preguntas sobre abajo. Hay una parte donde pueden poner sus preguntas y si tenemos tiempo vamos a poder responder a sus preguntas durante la presentación y también después. Entonces, gracias por asistir y vamos a empezar. Next slide, please. Today we'll be going over the agenda right now. So we are going to start off with the welcome from the Chancellor, Dr. Munoz, and then we will move on with Alex Delgadillo, who will be going over some of the student resources available on our campus. We will also be going in depth about some of the other resources available on our campus that our students do take advantage of. And then we will transition into a student panel and close it off with some final remarks.
And we are welcomed, and we are so excited to have some wonderful panelists and guests here this afternoon. Once again, myself, Alina Nugent, and Elizabeth Lopez are going to be here as your moderators and presenters for today's event. We are also welcomed by some wonderful special guests, Alex Delgadillo, the Associate Director of Educational Equity and Access Programs. We have Kimberly Castaneda, a psychology major and sociology minor, and Joseph Campos, a psychology major and public health minor. And we are very, very excited to have today's special guest, Dr. Juan Sanchez Munoz, UC Merced's Chancellor. And I would like to pass the floor over to Chancellor Munoz for wonderful welcoming remarks.
Thank you all, Alania and Elizabeth in particular. I want to thank her for dando el bienvenido a la gente que está con nosotros ahora. I appreciate her delivering that in a very elegant Spanish. I want to say good evening to all of our guests, and thank you for this opportunity to offer just some very brief remarks. I'm Juan Sanchez Munoz, the Chancellor of the University of California in Merced, and it's a delight to be with you tonight to talk to you just a bit about how Latin and Latinx students, Latino students and Latinx students will thrive at UC Merced. So first of all, I think it's important to recognize, of course, that many of the people that are part of tonight's program that help orchestrate, design tonight's program are in fact themselves Latinos and Latinas. That's important because they are able to help inform our program tonight, the questions, the answers, the tone of our responses, the specificity of our replies with their own experiences, being people that come from families like our own. They can do it as you've already seen, te lo pueden hacer, te lo pueden explicar en inglés y también te lo pueden explicar en español, en un idioma que conozcan, que les hace sentir como de veras entendemos, in a language that you understand, that you feel comfortable. And so I'd like to thank you for your interest in our university. Let me tell you a few things about our campus that I'm sure others will remind you of as the program continues. First of all, when we talk about successful Latinx students, Latino students, Hispanic students, this is in fact the majority of the students at the University of California, Merced, which is to say that if we have 60, 63, 64% of our students who are not thriving, then we are a university that is not thriving. And we are most certainly a university that is thriving. And it's thriving because of our high expectations of the students that are here, including over 60% of whom our Latinx students. That means that we understand the families that they come from, the familias that they come from, the communities that they come from, the values that they come from, the ambitions that they come from. That we understand also some of the limitations of our families with all of their hopes that might be material limitations, resource limitations, transportation limitations, and that we're a campus that understands and don't see those as deficits, but see those as springboards to opportunity and excellence. And that's what the assumptions that we make at the University of California, Merced. We have programs that help students be successful, whether it's the Bright Student Success Program, whether it's our tutoring programs, whether it's our peer-to-peer mentoring programs. We have deans that understand and value the students that come to UC Merced, the ambition. And we understand that not just a student comes to UC Merced, but their familia, their entire familia comes to UC Merced. In time, you will be part of a commencement ceremony and you will see that students aren't successful just because of UC Merced, but because of UC Merced and because of their family and the expectations of their family and the drive and preparation of their family, and that all together culminate in an extraordinarily successful UC Merced graduating Bobcat. So one of the things that I want to encourage you to think about as undergrads at UC Merced are four things and then a fifth. One of the things that we know in higher education, regardless of your background, your circumstances, that there are in particular 4 high impact practices that dramatically increase persistence to graduation. And they are the following, okay? Get involved in undergraduate research. Find a faculty member, find a laboratory, find a program, and get involved in undergraduate research, working under the supervision and tutelage of a faculty member. It can be in mechanical engineering, it can be in biology, it can be in chemistry, it can be in English, it can be working on a chapter in history. It could be working on a film, on a documentary. Get involved in undergraduate research, okay? Take advantage of service learning opportunities in time, not necessarily as a freshman, but as a sophomore or junior. Take a course that gives you an opportunity to translate that learning into the community, whether it's in the sociology of the elderly or in psychology, working with transient people, okay, or at a food bank. Get involved in a course that makes you go out and study and interact with the people in the community, and to really solidify your understanding of the content through actual application. Okay, think about taking advantage of a paid internship. There are many opportunities for internships, including paid internship. Think about how you will distinguish yourself from competitors upon graduation by being able to say, I worked in this industry through a paid internship. And then finally, one of the most important and transformative experiences that any student can be a part of is study abroad. Think about, I know the pandemic has really affected many students, not just in K-12 and higher and high school, but also in higher education. But we're going to emerge from this pandemic thing, and then I would encourage you to think about study abroad. Think about studying in Rome or Mexico or Japan or Beijing or Costa Rica, San Jose, Costa Rica. Because when you come back from that experience, not only have you had a magnificent learning experience, cultural experience, but it also sets you apart for when you graduate and are applying for positions. And then one thing I want to encourage all Latinx students to think about is graduate school. Okay, don't be satisfied with a bachelor's of art or a bachelor's of science. And don't be satisfied necessarily with a master's or an MBA. Think about a PhD. And if somebody has not told you to think about a PhD, then I want you to remember that the chancellor at the University of California, Merced, okay, te lo dijo en inglés y también te lo dijo en español. Think about a graduate degree and a PhD, and think about a career as a faculty member. Think about a PhD in history, a PhD in English, a PhD in mechanical engineering, where you can be part of an academic community that creates the circumstances that you're going to hear about today in the program at a university, because this is an extraordinary career that allows you to give back in so many important ways. And you're going to hear from some of my colleagues about the important ways that they're contributing to your education and experience. So undergraduate research, service learning, study abroad, and are just some, and internships are just some of the experiences that I believe that if you avail yourself of at UC Merced, you will be extraordinarily successful, not just at UC Merced, because that's important, but as important as that, beyond UC Merced. And I will tell you that there is no challenge, there is no occupation, there's no graduate program, there's no law school, medical school, dental school, or pharmacy school that you won't be prepared to excel at through your education at UC Merced. I'm very excited to have all of you think about our campus and be part of our campus. And I hope in time to be able to meet with all of you and be part of your extraordinary journey here at UC Merced and then beyond. And so again, this is just in closing, this is a campus that is led by a chancellor and a leadership team. Many of the leaders of our campus, you'll hear from, you've already heard from leaders like Elizabeth, who understand our families, our cultures, our values, our language, and see them not as limits, but springboards to excellence. Because that's what our families, eso es lo que nuestras familias esperan de nosotros, y eso es lo que les vamos a enseñar. Y de aquí, todo es posible at UC Merced. So with that, I want to thank you again for this opportunity. I'm happy to answer a question or two and or defer to my colleagues for the remainder of the program.
Thank you so much, Dr. Munoz. We are so grateful that you've been able to join us today. And I don't know if we have any questions from the audience, but I just wanted to know if you have any sharing, if you could share any information about our fall 2021 plans. Sure. For this upcoming semester. Thank you.
Of course. Well, our intentions, as you know, is to return mostly in face-to-face this fall. And what the exact percentage will be remains to be seen. Of course, we're also subject to the county restrictions, the state restrictions, the tiering system and what have you, availability of vaccine. We hope to strongly encourage all of our returning students to live in the dorm and congregate living, we refer to it, to get vaccinated very soon. And here in the state, anyone above the age of 16 will have access to the vaccine. I myself have been vaccinated. Many on our campus have been vaccinated. So the hope is that through vaccine, herd immunity, cautions, continued wearing masks and what have you, we can really return to a mostly face-to-face traditional undergraduate and graduate experience this fall. Spring 22, even more so. And I will tell you, we have a record number of applications. We had a record enrollment in the spring. We have a very high enrollment for summer courses. And I'll tell you, I'll say this to all of their students and their families listening. We also have an unprecedented amount of financial assistance through the various stimulus packages. So if you're experiencing some particular financial hardships related to the COVID, the pandemic, etc., please communicate that to our financial aid office, because we have just an unprecedented ability to support you over the next year, 2 years, 2.5 years, because of the generosity of the federal government, which is also your tax dollars being returned to us to support you. And so really don't hesitate. These resources, estos resources are yours. They're being made available to us to provide you with, to ensure a successful academic career and journey at UC Merced. So our intention is to return mostly to fall, face-to-face this fall, and then a greater percentage in the spring, and to support our students in every way we possibly can.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Munoz, and I hope that everyone in the audience can feel the passion, feel the excitement that we have for you to hopefully become a Bobcat with us this upcoming fall. And once again, huge congratulations to you, everyone in the audience. We're so proud and excited for you and for your next step in the journey. And thank you once again, Chancellor Munoz, for your wonderful, warm remarks to our entire audience today.
Well, thank you again. Right. Thank you again for having me, and thank you all for considering Merced, and look forward to meeting all of our guests, all 92 of them, this fall or spring. And remember, we go big and we go Cats.
Thank you, Chancellor Munoz. As always, a wonderful pleasure to have you. And with our continuation of our excitement for you to become a Bobcat, I would like to welcome our next guest speaker, Alejandro Delgadillo. He is a wonderful, wonderful member of our campus community, and I would like to give him the floor to introduce himself as our Associate Director, Educational Equity and Access Programs. So Alex, please take the floor.
Thank you so much, Lainey. I appreciate the introduction. As was mentioned, my name is Alejandro Delgadillo. I'm the Associate Director for Educational Equity and Access. Buenas tardes, yo soy Alejandro Delgadillo. Delgadillo, no bolillo, so no me empiecen. Yo soy el Director Asociado de Equidad Educativa y Acceso para la variedad de programas para apoyar a estudiantes que son primera generación aquí en la universidad. Estoy en cargo de variedad de servicios y programas para apoyar a sus estudiantes aquí en la universidad. So I oversee a variety of different programs to support our first generation students from unique populations on our campus and so forth. And so I oversee those kind of programs. A little background on myself. Yo soy de Ensenada, Baja California, so soy mexicano. I immigrated to the United States just before I turned 3 years old with my mother. We settled in Oxnard, California in Ventura County. Where we met with my grandparents. My grandparents had never been to college, had never had any education. My mother finished high school while I was still in elementary school. And so therefore, however, it was encouraged that I would be the first of the 13 grandchildren of my grandparents to go to college. And so when I did have the opportunity and I was admitted to the university, a University of California campus, my grandmother gave me one piece of advice. Me dio un consejo mi abuela antes que me fui a la universidad. Mi abuelita me dijo, mijo, no te olvides de dónde vienes. My grandmother's advice to me was, mijo, don't forget where you come from. And throughout my profession, throughout my career, I have not forgotten my roots and who I am, and to give back to my community in the process. So this is what I do to support those who shared the same dream as I did when I went off to university. So I'm going to go over a little bit about our programs and services that we provide here at UC Merced. But first, I'm going to share my screen with you and provide a PowerPoint presentation for you. So the university opened up in the year 2005. And in that first initial class, there were 800 students in that initial class. Predominantly 48% at that time were first generation students coming to UC Merced. Some of them transfer students, some directly from high school. But in the process, in the time that since 2005, UC Merced has risen to be among the top 100 universities in the United States, a leader in technology, innovation, pre-health sciences, and more. UC Merced has graduated a long and distinguished list of graduates who become leaders and contributors in their respective professions and in their communities. The university serves a diverse and vibrant student community in which 58% of our students are of Latin descent. 75% of our students are first generation, the first in their families to attend a university. And over 60% of our students come from families in which English is not the first language. Many students identify their family as the major source of motivation, to attend the university and to be among the first in their families to attain a college degree. They are assisted by a variety of programs and services here at the university to help them navigate through the university that fosters academic and personal success. Such programs as the Fiat Lux program, which supports first generations and students academically, financially, and personally during their 4 years at the university. The Success Mentor program, which provides a mentor for students during their first year at the university. As the students transition from high school to college, the STEP program to assist first and second year students as they explore and prepare for career opportunities after their graduation from the university. Services for undocumented students provides programs and services for undocumented and mixed status students and their families. But this is just a brief list of programs and services for our students here at UC Merced that fosters their success in and out of the classroom. In addition, there are services for students who transfer to UC Merced from a California community college. through the Transfer, Returning, and Veteran Services Program, which provides services unique to transfer students. I encourage students to explore and learn more about additional programs that will assist them during their time here at UC Merced, such as the ones I've just mentioned. Nearly 90% of our students will return for their second year at the university. A lot is attributed to the academic advising that students receive during their first year through the Bobcat Advising Center that assists students in preparing to meet the academic requirements for both their major and for graduation. Each student is assigned an advisor to help guide the student through their academic program to explore experiences that will contribute to their professional development, such as research and internship opportunities. As Chancellor Munoz mentioned, the importance of research, the importance of experiential learning opportunities is the opportunity to take theory and put it into practice to enhance your continued critical thinking's development and your ability to be competitive for after graduation, whether it be to graduate school or straight into your profession. 68% of our students will be involved in some form of research before they graduate from UC Merced. Often a major concern from families is the cost of the education. UC Merced is ranked as the #1 public university in the United States for financial aid for first-year students. The University of California's Blue and Gold Opportunity Program assists many families in making college accessible. Learning more about the Blue and Gold, which it provides for those families whose family income is less than $80,000, to assure them that the financial aid award that we will provide for them will cover their tuition. UC Merced also excels when it comes to helping students graduate at rates higher than expected. The university's graduation rate is a full 10% points higher than the national average, a differential that ranks UC Merced as 11th in the nation. After the first year, students will be advised by a new academic advisor within one of the academic schools, such as the School of Engineering, School of Natural Sciences, or the School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts. With the assistance of their academic advisors, students will focus on their respective field of study and preparing for their career options after graduation. The relationship between student and advisor is one of the most important ones during a student's time in college. And that is why students should get to know their advisor early during their time in college. Sometimes students neglect not visiting with their advisor more often and usually wait until something has gone wrong. I strongly recommend that you get to know your advisor from the get-go. They will be essential as you prepare for not only through the rigors of your academics, but also in preparing fulfilling the requirements for graduation, but also what comes after graduation. To assist students in their academic success, the university provides a series of tutorial programs to help students succeed in the classroom and out. Such programs such as the Math Center, the Chem Center, the Writing Center, the STEM Resource Center, and Peer-Assisted Learning Services, also known as PALS. Each program provides well-trained tutors to assist students in their understanding of their subjects. We encourage students to also be involved in the tutoring programs, to not wait till something goes wrong or you're struggling. At the university, first-year students during their first year are reviewed at mid-semester time to see their mid-semester grades, as faculty will post during the mid-semester time. There may be sometimes interventions, and UC Merced is probably the only UC that does this, is meeting with students at mid-semester times who might have one or more non-passing grades to get them to see what resources or strategies can be implemented to be sure to turn things around. 86% of the time, students will turn their grades around for the second half of the semester and finish strong. As I mentioned before, relationships are important for students during their time in college. One of the very most important ones, the relationship students and professors have. Our faculty are leaders in their respective fields, leading many of the university's innovative research that contributed to just not the state of California, but to the world as well. These distinguished professors do not just serve as experts in their fields, but also as educators and mentors for many students. Often students may be a bit shy in initiating a conversation with a professor, but let me assure you that there is no greater advocate for a student than a professor who sees greatness in each student. I encourage students to introduce themselves to their professor, attend professors' office hours, ask questions and more. Professors at UC Merced like Mario Cifuentes, Selma Valdez, Rudy Ortiz, Ariel Escobar, Tanya Gulash-Bosa, Camila Alvarez, Paul Almeida, Marcos Garcia Ojeda, and more contribute greatly to a student's success through their mentorship and advocacy. My own success in college can be attributed to one Chicano professor who became a mentor for me and contributed to my becoming the professional I am today. I am forever in his debt for the time he shared with me and for his patience in guiding a lost and unsure young man. One of the most admirable qualities of our students at UC Merced is their desire to contribute to their communities. Through the Margot Souza Leadership Center, many of our students are able to be connected to civic engagement opportunities to give back to the local community, visiting elementary schools, introducing to the idea that they can attend a university like UC Merced, providing tutoring programs and services at various schools. Our Gateway program is present in all 3 local high schools, nurturing and fostering college accessibility, but also college readiness from the 9th grade to the 12th grade. This is a reflection of the values that many of our students have learned at home from their parents, their families, and their community. Many students come to college not just to attain a college degree, but to prepare for themselves to make a difference in the world. Our students understand the responsibility that comes with obtaining a college degree, that responsibility is how they will make a difference in another person's life because of their education. There are over 200 student organizations in which a student can be involved in at UC Merced. Some social, like Hermanos Unidos and Hermanas Unidas, some performance like Ballet Folclórico, some cultural, El Club de Español, some professional like Ingenieros Unidos. Not only do these organizations provide a social network, but also foster leadership development, community service opportunities, and professional development. As a student, many such organizations contribute to my own personal growth, as I not only grew personally, but also found comfort in being with a group of students that often felt more like family. UC Merced is part of a world-renowned university system of the University of California. A student attending any of the 9 University of California campuses joins an elite fraternity of scholars known for innovation, creativity, social justice, and equity. As a University of California alumnus, I take a great deal of pride in being a graduate from the most distinguished university system in the world. But more importantly, I can still see the pride in my grandparents and my parents' eyes as I graduated from college. I look forward to the day that you and your family share the same experience. I encourage you to participate in the Chicano Latino commencement, in which our graduates will walk arm in arm with their parents or family members. On that day, it is indeed a family event. I encourage you that the day that graduation comes and your name is called and you walk across that stage to pick up the fake diploma until the real one shows up in the mail, that is a feeling that will forever stay with you. Because as you walk across the stage and you hear people yelling and screaming your name and you're going, man, who are those people? And then you look over your shoulder and you realize it's your family. And that's when you know that you are not walking across that stage alone, that your family walks with you on that day. And as you start to think what you've just accomplished, then you start to add on to that what you are going to do now because you have this education. As Chancellor Munoz said, aspire for greatness, aspire for more. We are not preparing you for a job. This is not what the University of California Merced does. We are preparing you for greatness in your chosen professions, in your fields of study. This is what we prepare you for, to make the world a better place, to have the opportunity to make another person's life better. And as you contemplate that on that day you graduate, your heart starts to beat even faster. And as you look and believe, I can make a difference in this world because of my education. And at the end of the day, and after the ceremony is over, you and your family go home and have a pachanga and celebrate this moment because indeed, it is a family event.
Thank you so, so much, Alex. I am absolutely inspired by your incredible words that you've shared with everyone here. And I hope everyone has just absorbed that information that Alex shared, not only about the incredible joy that you'll be able to feel and sense in your accomplishment by the time you graduate from our university, but all the little skills and all the people and resources that we have on campus for you. We are here to support you, and we are here to ensure that you are successful. And as Alex has said, as Chancellor Munoz has said, aspire for greatness and aspire for more. And from here, we would like to share just a little bit about some of the resources and information that we have shared with you between Alex and Chancellor Munoz. And we'll just wanted to share a little bit about our campus from a demographic standpoint to begin with here. First of which, I wanted to share our campus population size. Our campus is the tightest knit community in the University of California system, with just a little over 9,000 students on campus. Once again, it is a smaller campus community that really allows you to connect with your peers, connect with your professors, connect with your community. And I'm really excited to share that 73% of our students on campus identify as first generation, which is an incredible accomplishment for our students. And we are so proud of them and so happy that they have decided to join our community on campus with the abundance of resources and people that are here to support you as a student. Additionally, I'd like to point out our gender breakdown of our campus, with 52% of our students identifying as female, 47% identifying as male, and 1% identifying with unknown or declined to state. Additionally, just to break down the campus by school, for your own information, our largest school within the University of California, Merced, is the School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts, with 44% of our student population. 28% of our students are in the School of Engineering, 25% of our students are in the School of Natural Sciences, and 3% of our students are undeclared. So if you yourself maybe applied to our campus as an undeclared student, you're in good company, and you'll be able to have kind of the buffet of choices ahead of you in order to determine what your major will end up being in the long run. Finally, and not definitely last but not least, we have our breakdown by ethnic breakdowns. So 58% of our students on campus are Chicano Latino. So you will find yourself amongst many community members and many friends on campus, along with a wonderfully diverse campus as a whole, with 18% of our students identifying as Asian, 8% identifying as white, 8% identifying as international, 4% identifying as African American and Black, 3% of students identifying as 2 or more races, 1%, less than 1% American Indian students identifying as, another less than 1% for students identifying as Pacific Islander, and finally a little less than 1% of folks that decline to state. So as you can see, the campus is so diverse, and I think that is one of the most important elements of University of California, Merced, is our tight-knit but very diverse population. I also just wanted to briefly share some statistics about our campus with regards to our institution as a whole. And we are a Hispanic serving institution. We have that accreditation with 55.5% of our students identifying as Chicano Latino. As you saw on that previous slide, we have well above 55.5%. And finally, I also wanted to share once again the status, first generation student status on campus, with 74% of all undergraduates being first generation, 75% being first year, and 74% being new transfer students. So for my incoming freshmen, incoming transfers, once again, we have so many resources for you on campus that'll help support you in your academic and personal journeys during your time at UC Merced. And we'll get into those just a little bit here, and you probably heard and hopefully remember all the wonderful resources that Alex has shared just a little bit ago here. I also wanted to briefly share some rankings for you with our campus, and these rankings are so incredible. We have been ranked #1 for in the nation for student outcomes and #1 for social mobility. What do these mean? These mean that our campus is here to support our students, help them transcend and go into the careers, the graduate programs that they want to go into. We have a high retention rate for our students to ensure that they are able to graduate with us and to go above and beyond and be able to move forward in their careers and in their graduate program dreams once again. We also are #8 in the nation for economic diversity, #8 in the nation for performance for first generation students, which is absolutely incredible. We are so grateful and humbled to have that award. And we're also a top 100 school in the nation for universities for Hispanic students. So we have so many wonderful awards, and of course we are so grateful and humbled by these awards, but these awards wouldn't be possible without students like you, and students who are coming to our university, knowing the resources, knowing the opportunities that they have here. And with that being said, I would love to invite you to become a Bobcat this upcoming year. Just remember that your statement of intent to register is due by May 1st. May 1st is coming up in just about a month here. So hopefully you are considering University of California Merced for yourself, for your future. And just a reminder that this is the upcoming deadline for your statement of intent to register. I would also like to share a little bit about opportunities for you to visit our campus. We have opportunities both for you to visit from the comfort of home, but also for you to come physically to campus. So these are some of our virtual tour opportunities. We have family tours, interactive tours, live tours. One of my personal favorites, the drone tours. You can actually fly over campus like a bird. It is super, super exciting. And you can find all information about our tours at tours.ucmerced.edu. And one of my colleagues just posted the information in the chat for you about our drive-through tours, brand new as of a couple weeks ago. And you can physically come to campus, drive around and see campus for the comfort and safety of your car, but still be able to get that experience of being on campus. I know that especially now in a pandemic, it is probably a very difficult time to try to turn and look at various colleges, see the opportunities that are there for you, but not be able to see campus in person. And this is hopefully the closest we can get to helping you see the options that we have for not only for yourself, but also to see campus as a whole. So we highly encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. Come see us, come visit us. We want to see you, and we're hopeful that you will be able to check out our campus in the coming weeks before you make your decision about which campus you will end up attending for this upcoming fall. I would also like to share just a little bit of information about our Spanish program. This is one of our wonderful majors on campus. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of what this program offers. So this program is not only a language learning program, this is a program for you to learn how to not only speak Spanish, but improve your Spanish and learn how it transcends into just beyond being a language, but being a part of knowledge, being a part of culture. We want to help our students learn how to analyze documents and think critically. We want you to be able to utilize your language skills in a variety of capacities and prepared to work in a variety of fields where bilingualism is so crucial and is so beneficial to not only you, but also to the organizations that you may end up working for. So just to give you an idea of the opportunities within a Spanish program major and what careers you could end up being a part of. For example, and probably one of the most important ones that I could think of was being an educator. Educators are the keystone to helping our students, helping our future be prepared to tackle the academic world and the work world beyond. So if you are looking to become a dual immersion educator, the Spanish program is perfect for you. Translators and just transcribers and interpreters are also incredibly important. Now, you may think, oh, where can translators and transcribers, interpreters work? Truly every single field, but some of the examples that I've seen are folks working in entertainment, are folks working in healthcare, especially nowadays when we're trying to help folks get vaccinated, help folks get information about COVID. Folks who are transcribing and translating documents for our community members are incredibly crucial, and we are so grateful to folks that have spent their time and energy to share that information and help get the information out to folks who speak Spanish. So thank you to everyone who is out there. If anyone's out there in the audience that has done this kind of work, thank you. You are truly a hero. Additionally, you can work in government work, being an ambassador, being a lawyer. There's so many different opportunities in government work, being a bilingual speaker. And finally, this list in particular, there are folks, opportunities in the business realm, so international relations and international sales. These are just many options that you have out there for you in the careers of being a bilingual speaker and the opportunities that are available to you. You can definitely check out that link for more information. And I do want to let folks know that this major is super double major friendly or minor friendly. I know there was a question earlier about what's the difference between a major and a minor. A minor will have relatively similar courses to the major. It's just you're taking less of them. The major has more credits. And I'd say go for the major, as Alex and as Chancellor Muniz has shared. Go above, go beyond, achieve and strive for greatness. And this is just another way by having two majors from the University of California Merced. So that is it from my end here. I would like to pass the floor to Elizabeth Lopez to share a little bit more about resources on campus. Liz?
Thank you, Lainey. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, the Spanish program seems like it's for me, and you didn't get the opportunity to declare that on your application as an incoming freshman, there is perfect, you're in time. You're going to be able to do that your first year or your second semester, whenever you want to go ahead and add that minor or double major, as Lainey mentioned. But I do want to talk about some of the student support services that Mr. Delgadillo Alejandro mentioned. He did mention a couple of these throughout his presentation, so I'm going to go over them, but I do want to give you a little bit more detail about each one of them. To our STEP program, which is designed to help low-income first-generation students with disabilities. So if you identify as that, we do have a program that will be tailored for you to help you and enhance your academic experience at University of Merced. And so then we also have Fiat Lux. This one is more so transition, is more aimed for first generation low income students who are transitioning from high school to college. And so we definitely want to provide that mentorship for you, especially if you don't have that at home. And so you're looking for those mentorships outside. So that's something that you could look at. Fiat Lux is an invitation only. So if you did receive a Fiat Lux invitation already via email, I would definitely encourage you to take advantage of that program because it is a limited program. And then we have our Guardian Scholars. So that is more so aimed for our foster youth and our homeless youth. So we really want to provide these students with these services that they need to be successful as university college students. As well as what Alejandro mentioned, we do have undocumented student services. We have professional development for you, career development, academic development. So it entails different services as well as legal services. He did mention the legal services are for undocumented students themselves, but it's also for students who have parents who may be undocumented. So these services are something that you definitely want to take advantage of. If it's ringing a bell, like I definitely qualify for that program, take advantage once you're at the University of California, Merced. And then we definitely have PALS, which is more so our tutoring services aimed to help our students throughout different majors, different courses that you may be struggling with. Like they mentioned, don't be afraid to ask for help before you start struggling. Go seek these resources even beforehand. And then we have our Success Mentor Program. This one is aimed for first-year students. If you are a first-year student and you're interested in getting a mentorship from one of the other UC Merced students, and this is where they'll pair you up and you'll get a mentor. You'll meet up one-on-one, and then they'll kind of guide you through your first year. And then, of course, you kind of like advance to your second year. So after that, you kind of graduate from the Success Mentor Program. So that's pretty unique. These are some of the many programs and resources that we have. And along with that, we do have campus resources. So if you're interested in counseling services or psychiatric services, we do have those on our campus. It could be individual counseling or group counseling if you're interested in like support groups. We do have that as well. And then we have our CARE program, which really promotes the health and the wellness in our community of student population, as well as our health services. So if you are needing some medical attention or you just need to go talk to a doctor or be referred out, this is somewhere, it's on our campus and it's available to you as a student. So we definitely encourage you to seek those resources. And as well as our student accessibility services. So if you are a student coming from high school who has a 405 plan or an IEP plan, these will be taken into consideration when you do come to the university setting. It is different from high school, but we do accommodate you if you need accommodations such as transportation, academic services. And so we really strive to empower our students, regardless of where they come from, to take advantage and succeed throughout their undergraduate experience. We also have clubs and organizations. I do want to mention that we have a little over 200 clubs and organizations, but I do want to focus on a couple that were mentioned through on behalf of Alejandro. And so here you can kind of get an idea of the life on campus at UC Merced. And so we really take pride in that. But we do have Locorico on our campus. So if that is something that you've done as a, from your background growing up, that is something that UC Merced does offer to its students through the clubs and organizations. We have our Central Americans for Empowerment, the UC Merced, our Chicano and Chicana Latino Council, as well as the health education. We have our Club de Español. We have Hermanas Unidas. Typically, it's mainly hermanas, so it's all girls and females. And then we have Hermanos Unidos. Hermanos Unidos is more co-ed. There has been, it did start off as just males, but then it kind of became co-ed just recent in the years that I was at UC Merced. I did join Hermanos Unidos, which is a club that really strives for engagement in the community, and most of these programs and clubs do that. Ingenieros Unidos, so students who are going into engineering, as you can imagine, it is a rigorous major, and so a lot of students really strive for success. So this is a club that was organized by other students to come together as engineers and strive for success. And so it's unique to see that these clubs and organizations have developed throughout the time that UC Merced has been growing as well. We also provide food services. So if you're asking yourself, well, what else does UC Merced have to offer me? If there ever comes a time where you are needing some food assistance, we definitely have that on our campus. We have our pantry. where you can walk in any day and pretty much just grab what is available to you. Of course, there is a limit day to day or week to week, but there could be milk, eggs, anything that you could think of that may have been donated to our country is available to you as a student. We do have food distribution days where there are boxes that are piled up together with different sorts of food that is good for students to take home. And so those different distribution days will be either emailed to you, posted throughout campus, or you can just look on our websites as well. And so typically it's located in our community college in Merced, but of course it's friendly for all students to go get. So it's something we definitely tell you to get, go take advantage of. And then we have a community garden. It's in our campus. So we're growing local veggies, fruits, anything you can think of that grows off the bushes or trees, it's there. So when it's ready, you are encouraged to go pick out some fresh, garden veggies or whatever you can think of. And then we do have CalFresh assistance. So if you are wanting to apply to CalFresh and you just don't know how to go about it, we do have an office that focuses on that to help students achieve that. And then of course, one of the other two is a partnership within Merced where they do food exchange. But my favorite is the I Care. And this one is if you are a student or you meet another student who is running low on their meal funds, so that means their money for their dining center. If they're running low and you have a lot of money and you want to donate to another student, this is the way you can do it. And so instead of swiping for them in case you can't make it to go swipe for them like your CAT card, which is what you use to go into the dining center, you would be able to donate to another student on campus. And so that's a really unique way to show that our students really do care about other students on campus because we're always willing to share or to take someone out to eat, whether that's just in the dining center, which is totally, acceptable and appreciated. Something else that's super exciting about UC Merced during this time is that we have an internship available to transfer and first-year students, that it is a 6-week program. And so if you're interested in STEM or agricultural research, we definitely encourage you to go visit this website. I do want to mention that the application is due May 1st, and May 1st is our SIR deadline. So if you know you're for a fact going to UC Merced in the fall and you're interested in STEM and agriculture, I would definitely encourage you to apply. So submit your SIR by May 1st and apply to this internship by May 1st. So double the fun. And you're going to learn so much about natural resources management, climate change and adaptation, and much more. So this is a fun way to get started with that research aspect that we've been talking about. And this leads us to our student panel. So I will invite now Kimberly to introduce herself as we get ready for our student panel.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my name is Kimberly. I just go by Kim. A little bit about myself is I'm currently a student tour guide, so I give tours for the school. So make sure to book your tours here so you can get a clear view of UC Merced. I'm originally from Baldwin Park, California, which is in the Los Angeles County area, so down in Southern California. Currently a 4th year, so I'm finishing up my last semester, prepping to graduate this May. So that's really exciting. I'm a psychology major with a minor in sociology, so if you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer that. As for my plans after UC Merced, I'm still deciding exactly what I want to do. With psychology, you can take a lot of paths, but some options I have is going to graduate school and going into social work, specifically to help low-income communities, or also possibly get my teaching credential to go and teach back where I'm from. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to my colleague.
Thank you, Kimberly. Hi, everyone. My name is Julissa Campos. I am currently a 3rd year from Madera, California, which is 45 minutes away from Merced. So I'm Central Valley. My major is psychology, just like my colleague, and I'm minoring in public health. After UC Merced, my plans are going into med school, hopefully to enroll in a physician assisted program. If it all goes well, if not, maybe a nurse practitioner. And if you have any questions about like pre-med or pre-health, just feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And we are so excited to have you with Kimberly and Julissa for our wonderful student Q&A here. We're going to go ahead and get started, but as we are asking questions to my wonderful guests in the audience, please feel free to drop your Q&As in the chat or in the Q&A button down below. We would love to have our students help answer your questions. And we are going ahead and get started here with the first question of how do you identify yourself?
Yeah, so I identify myself as a Latina because I am part of the Hispanic ethnicity. So
I describe myself as same Latina, Mexican American. I feel like I'm a very easygoing person, easy to talk to, and small town gal.
All right, thank you so much, y'all. Appreciate it. We're going to go to the next question of why did you decide to go to college?
yeah, so for me personally, I decided to go to college because I wanted to be one of the first people to graduate. So I am a first generation college student, just as many students here at UC Merced. My brother did graduate from college, but I specifically wanted to be the first woman to graduate as well. None of my parents graduated. So just seeing how hard they worked, and they always motivated me to go to college because they wanted me to get a better career than them. So that's why I chose to come to a 4-year and decided on UC Merced.
I chose to go to a 4-year college university because I wanted to pursue my education. Definitely, if you want to go to the medical field or any healthcare related field, you're definitely going to have to pursue a higher education. And obviously want to do that for my family since I'm going to be the first one as well.
Thank you, Kimberly and Julissa, for answering that question. What resources really helped you in your transition as a first generation college student from high school to college at UC Merced?
Yeah, so for resources, while coming into college, I didn't know anything at all. Because like I said, I'm first generation, so it was kind of a struggle just applying towards colleges and things like that. Specifically in high school, I really reached out to my counselor. They were always there to provide me with lots of opportunities. Honestly, you just have to go out and ask them directly. I need help with this, and they'll be willing to help you. In college, same thing. I had my advisor to help me as a resource, as well as I joined clubs and organizations because they served as a good constant support system to help keep me motivated throughout my years here at college.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The next question that we have for you is how many, sorry, that's not the right question. My apologies. Where did you move from? And if you moved, 3 or 4 or more hours away from home, how has that been? And how have you managed to be away from your family?
So I moved from Madera, which is 45 minutes away from Merced, which is going south. And I like to go visit home every other weekend if I can, because it's nice visiting family, get a distraction of school because you're always stressed. And also it gives me the time. So the reason why I chose UC Merced is because it's close and it's like both small towns, which I love.
So for me, I live about 4 hours. So at first it was kind of a struggle. Parents are like, you're really going to go that far? Like, I don't want you to go so far. But at the end of the day, they did allow me to do so because it was for my education and, it was best for me. So at first I did feel very homesick. So and it was just such a far travel. But after, like I mentioned before, once you join clubs and organizations, make your friends here your first year, just really get out and get involved on campus, whether that may be through a job, you join fraternity, sorority, organization, volunteer, whatever the case, you'll feel like a strong support system here at UC Merced.
Thank you, Julissa and Kimberly, for answering that question. Talking about how far you are away from home, we do have a question coming from the audience that says, how many students actually go home during the weekend? And when they do, how is the campus life environment during those weekends? So if you could, Kimberly and then Julissa, maybe if you guys have anything to share.
Yeah, so the weekends, obviously it's not as full as you see during the week. A lot of students who do live like about 1 to 2 hours, they do tend to go home on the weekends, but a lot also try to stay just to get that full college experience with dorm life and whatever it may be. As for students who do live more farther down like I do, we don't really go home as much. So there is a good chunk of students who do remain on campus. However, if you do choose to go home, we do have lots of forms of transportation to go home as well. So you don't have to worry about that too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, y'all. The next question we have is kind of more of a general question. So for students with a pre-medical, is there a specific program for them to enroll in, or do they just complete as many science classes as possible?
I'll answer this question. Since I am pre-med, pre-health, one of the things I've learned coming into Merced is that you don't need a major in biology if you want to pursue a higher education in the medical field. However, you do have to fulfill some requirements such as biology, chemistry, and if you need any more help, you could always reach out to Erica Robbins, which is pre-health advising. And also there are clubs and organizations on campus, which can get you involved into any volunteer programs, any opportunities for that.
Thank you for sharing. Our next question actually talks a little bit more about the challenges that you have faced as a first generation college student. So maybe you can talk about the challenge and how you've overcome that challenge.
In college, you're always bound to find a couple of challenges here and there. One of the challenges that I struggled with was academically. College really isn't like high school at first, but once you get into the groove of your routine and things like that, it will come naturally to you. So I suggest just make sure you're being really organized. Starting your first year of college, to make sure you don't fall behind. Definitely reach out to your professors as well. And these things like this aren't resources that people tell you about. So it really is good to go out there. Another thing is just like I said to you, get involved. That really helped me a lot. I'm involved in Hermanos Unidos, and that club and organization has served like as a strong support system for me, really help like find like another family away from like home type. So I would say like things like that, like clubs and organizations definitely do help overcome those challenges and make it easier.
Alrighty, thank you so much, y'all. The next question here is, who did you turn to for guidance and support in your first year of college or overall?
As Kimberly mentioned, my first year, I did struggle a bit with my academics. And for that, I turned towards an academic coach, John Newton. He definitely helped me out throughout my first semester. I really liked him because he was definitely supportive. I saw him as a mentor. He definitely motivated with my classes. If I needed any little bit of motivation, he was there for me. Also, we do have resources on campus such as PALS, which are students who tutor other students because they previously taken those courses. I've also used the Writing Center regularly because I'm taking Writing 101 as of right now. And we definitely have lots of resources on campus, such as academic advisors. So if you're struggling with your courses or don't know how to plan your schedule, I definitely recommend visiting them.
Perfect. So thank you for answering that question. If we could actually talk about what it is to live to be on campus, given that the majority of students are Hispanic, what has your experience been like? If we could start with Kimberly.
For me personally, I really enjoyed living on campus. I had a good experience. The majority, that is correct, it is Latino and Hispanic. But for me, that was, I felt more comfortable just seeing that there was a lot of first generation students or just Latino and Hispanic who are in the same boat as me, versus like if I would have gone to another UC or other UCs that I've toured, I just never really felt that sense of like belonging in there. So I really like how UC Merced does try to incorporate that that aspect into the college.
A first generation student, my first day of school was definitely kind of crazy because I didn't know where things were, but I really loved how the staff were so super friendly. And since it's mainly like Latinos or like more populated, it's easier because if you have a question, they can answer it like in your first native language, like in Spanish, and you feel so much comfortable knowing that there's someone who was just in your shoes like you. So you're more comfortable to ask and speak up.
Thank you so much, Julissa and Kimberly. I'm going to go to the next question here, which was, as a first generation student, how did you manage the first day at UC Merced? And is there some sort of help available to you?
Yeah, so similar to what Julissa had just touched up upon, as a first generation student, the first day at UC Merced, it can be kind of really hectic just because you don't really know, it's your first day like in a big university, you just don't really know where to go, what to do, who's going to be willing to help you. But as she mentioned, everyone is super willing to help you from and like whatever questions you may have, as well as like even professors, fellow students who are in grades above you. Everybody's all really open with each other, and you'll definitely like, if you ever have a question, no one's gonna like ignore you. You'll definitely get all your questions answered, and fit in here at UC Merced.
Thank you, Kimberly, for answering that question. One of our actual audience is asking, someone's currently deciding between UC Merced and a larger UC. What do you think is a setback in terms of, is the smaller campus at Merced something that you find a setback to for yourself in terms of your experience? Or do you find it to be empowering that you are at a smaller campus?
I actually find it pretty empowering. The main reason why I chose UC Merced was because I come from a small town, and so I find it comfortable. A pro of choosing UC Merced is that when it comes to office hours, you don't need to make an appointment. You could just, it's easier and accessible to talk to your professor on a more to-one basis. And it's also a plus because when it comes to recommendation letters, you're more likely to make a better connection within your professor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, y'all. Another question we have here is, what does success mean to you, and where have you found success at UC Merced?
Yeah, so I can start off. Success is going to mean different things to every individual you encounter with. They all have different meanings of what success is. To me personally, success is something that you achieve, something that you find yourself satisfied with through hard work. For me, the more work you put in, the more satisfied you're going to be, the more successful I feel. At the end of the day, my end goal for me to actually consider myself to be successful will be to graduate. So on graduation day, that's when I believe I will feel my sense of success, just knowing that I worked up so hard all these 4 years to get to that point.
Success definitely has different definitions to everyone. It may be different. For me, success means progress, because little progress is still progress. So baby steps, even though you have a goal of achieving something, I feel like making little checkpoints to the big checkpoint is also success for me, even if it's physically, mentally. That's what success means to me.
Thank you. And yes, Jalissa, you're definitely correct. Success looks different for everybody. And so celebrate your successes, as Jalissa mentioned, even if they're the small ones. And so I actually want to get to know whether UC Merced was your first choice as you were debating whether you should go to another CSU or UC. What was it like for you to decide when you were in the shoes of students who are now hearing your experience? If we could start off with Kimberly.
Yeah, so for me, at first, UC Merced was not one of my top choices, just because of the distance. I wasn't really so sure if I wanted to go so far from home, just because I'm really close to my family. So I was thinking of going to a UC or CSU that was closer to me. However, when I decided to, my parents convinced me hey, let's go take a tour, see how you like it. So I went to go take that tour, and based off that tour, that completely flipped. I was like, dang, I want this as one of my choices. Just one of the things that attracted me was the beautiful campus, the small campus environment. Actually, I just felt more comfortable that it's a close-knit community where everyone kind of knows everyone. It's easier to reach out to professors and just get involved. So I saw a lot of opportunities for me there. And I have found a lot of opportunities these past 4 years. So definitely, yeah, that's a little my take on it.
For me, UC Merced was not my first choice, but it was ranked on my top choices for colleges. And I'm a big believer of everything happens for a reason. And I'm very proud of who I've become as of today and where I'm at. And I'm really thankful for all the opportunities I've had within UC Merced, getting this job, joining Kappa Kappa Gamma, and also making relationships with my professors.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that question. The next question actually came to my head because we may have some parents behind the screen with their, children as they hear your experience. And so I kind of want you to share what it was like for you to have a parent conversation as to how you were going to decide that you were going to go to university, and were you supported by your parents? Was it a hard conversation to have with them? If we could start off with Kimberly and maybe Jalissa, you share afterwards.
Yeah, so for me, my parents, they always knew I want you to get a better education in me so you can have a stable career, and not struggle as much as we did to get to where you are now. So since I was in high school, they're you're going to college, whatever college you want to decide to, that's fine. But we would prefer for you to go to college. And then based off of that, I did my own research, seeing if would I want to go to a 2-year, 4-year, etc., things like that. But they definitely were there on my side. Even if they couldn't provide me with all the resources, they did support me in directing me to that path. And then from there, like I said, I just did research, and so here I am.
Yes, for me, my parents were very supportive in terms of going to college. They're the ones who pushed me and to come this far. So my relationship with them is really well. And how Kimberly said, like, I agree with her. I've always wanted to pursue a higher education, and also like I want to try to give back to my parents since they're the ones who give me all, like everything, and I'm just trying to pay it forward.
Perfect, thank you. I think it's super important because a lot of these students who are here today may be having that hard conversation within themselves, thinking like, how am I going to have that conversation with my parents as to if I'm going to be able to afford college or not. And so we definitely encourage the students here to reach out to us if you do need that help, to have those conversations with your parents as well. But leading us to our last question, what advice would you give to students who are deciding, to go to UC Merced right now, as they consider us as their next home for the fall of 2021?
Yeah, so I can start off. A piece of advice I would say is don't really limit yourself to what school you're going to. Like I said, do your research. Like personally for me, like I said, I came on a tour and that automatically flipped my decision. Like I want to come to UC Merced now. Just like really dig deep into like the resources that each school offers. And you guys are already doing a great job by attending this webinar. So little things like that will really definitely help impact your decision. Because at the end of the day, you only have 4 or 5 years, however much it takes to gain all the opportunities you can for your end goal, like which is your career, graduate school. So definitely take advantage and do your research out there.
Some advice I'd give out to students is to take a tour, like Kimberly said, whether that's like physically coming down to Merced. I know it's harder because of COVID, but we do also have online tours if that's something you're interested in. Also, make sure that whatever you want to study, like your major, I know not all schools have certain majors, so definitely do your research within that. And if you have any questions, I'd recommend you reaching out to like former students or like admission staff.
Thank you so much, Kimberly and Jalissa, for sharing your student experience with our potential students now who are here joining us. I do want to point us back to the PowerPoint as we close off the presentation or webinar for today. We do encourage you all to join us for our virtual events that are upcoming within the next week. And so if you actually take a picture of this barcode right here, you can be linked right to the page where you can register for more of these events that are coming up. So you could learn a little bit more about the student life at UC Merced, more about the student programs that we've mentioned already as well. And as well, we will be having an undocumented student service webinar as well to talk about the success that these students are having at our university as undocumented students. So we definitely encourage you to attend these events if they are of your interest. This is admissions contact information. So for students, if you have any questions that we did not get to answer today, we definitely encourage you to use the email you see in this contact card and as well as the phone number. But we also encourage you to use social media and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. On YouTube, we do post most of our webinars. So if you do need to go back and reference this webinar, it will be posted at a later time on our YouTube channel. Para los papás que están aquí, quiero decirles que me siento orgullosa de representar a UC Merced. No nomás estoy aquí trabajando con la universidad, pero yo también fui una estudiante para la escuela. Atendí en el 2013 hasta el 2017 y para mí fue un honor estar en esa universidad porque me dieron los recursos para ser una estudiante ejemplar. Y les quiero dar mi información por si tienen cualquier pregunta que no pudieron preguntarnos hoy. Aquí está mi correo electrónico y también está mi número de celular. Me pueden mandar un texto y si no me pueden llamar también. Sé que a veces los estudiantes ahorita están en la high school y a veces no saben decirles exactamente el proceso de ir al colegio, y si ustedes tienen preguntas y yo les puedo ayudar, sería un honor para mí hablar con ustedes para que ustedes sepan qué está pasando y cómo les podemos ayudar para que sus estudiantes estén con nosotros. Yo sé que el doctor Muñoz y Alejandro hablaron mucho del orgullo que es ser hispano, y para mí también es un orgullo, y Les quiero decir gracias por estar con nosotros esta noche. Y como les digo, gracias por estar ahí con nosotros. Sé que fue un evento en la tarde y pues es tiempo de su día. Entonces, gracias otra vez por estar aquí. Thank you for joining us today. We know we took some time out of your evening. And so we definitely are thankful for you and showing up to support our webinar and your interest in UC Merced. Have a good evening.